Katie and I have been working on this house for quite some time. During that entire time, I have been dreaming of having air conditioning and heating in this house, and look what we have. Thanks to Turbo, we have our first heat pump, and I can tell you it's working awesome. I really enjoy it. Installation was a little bit more complicated than I thought, but I followed these simple steps. Unbox the unit, wire the head unit, install the mounting bracket to the wall, mount the head unit to that indoor mounting bracket, making sure to put the line sets, the drain hose, and the head unit power cable through that hole. Build the outdoor condenser mounting bracket, brace that mounting bracket to the outdoor foundation, install the condenser onto the mounting bracket, ensuring level side to side and front to back, connect the power cable from the head unit to the condenser unit, connect 120 volt power from the breaker panel, connect the extended line sets, vacuum pump out those line sets and release the R-32 refrigerant into the line sets, power on, and test. And there is one last thing I need to do, and that is install the line set, drain hose, and power cable cover on the outside to make it look nice. There were some complications that I had while installing this thing, nothing real major. The mounting bracket to install that head unit there on the wall is not necessarily designed to fit specifically 16-inch on center framing, so it's a little bit hard to line up the mounting bracket to hit one of the studs and be able to put the line set hole through the wall without hitting the stud. The instructions for this particular unit were kind of hard to follow at times. I think there were some either missing instructions or assumptions made by the writer of the instruction manual for the DIYer. Getting the outdoor condenser unit to be level front to back, side to side on the mounting bracket outside was time consuming, but I ultimately got it perfect. And then having to use a vacuum pump on the line sets to vacuum out the line sets prior to releasing the refrigerant versus having a unit with the pre-charged line sets that really is just plug and play made it a little bit more of a complicated install. Overall, I got it done and I'm really happy with this thing. It is very quiet. I have it on full blast right now in heat mode. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not. Comes with an app. Haven't installed that yet. I will though, but it does also come with a remote control. It's actually really simple to use. There's not a lot to it, so it's just turn it on to your heat or your cool mode, set your temperature. You can make it so it has fans go up and down, left and right to distribute that heat or that cool air. So the fact that it's really simple to use is a huge bonus for me. It has decent efficiency rating. It is a 20 SEER2 rating. It was sold to us as a 22 SEER2 rating. I don't know how much of a difference that 2 makes, but it doesn't quite have the efficiency that we were told it does, but it's still a pretty decent efficient unit. And for the cost of, I think this one was like $670, it's still a really good price and still pretty efficient for that price range. There were some cons of this unit also. Installation was a little bit more involved than I thought. I'll put that on myself, but installation was more difficult. The fact that it didn't have those pre-charged line sets and I had to use a manifold gauge and a vacuum pump just added a little bit to the complexity of the install. There was about a 2-hour period on day number 3 of using this where it had a really high-pitched noise coming from this head unit. It went away, it hasn't come back since, and I've been running it for a little over a week now, both in heating and in cooling mode. So that's really all of the complaints that I have. So I'm gonna let this thing continue to run. We're gonna continue working on this house, and at the end of the video, I'll give my recommendations on this unit. we got ourselves another tractor. All right, I'm gonna unload this thing and then I can tell you why we got this tractor and all about it. So let's start getting it unloaded. First thing I need to do is get these chains off here with these, I don't know what these little things are called to tighten the chains with, but our good friends at Vever sent us 2 pairs of those, so we had the ability to transport this tractor. Turn this to ratchet the other way. Let's see here. There we go. Actually, I think I can just... Okay, I have the ramps down, stands in place, so that way the trailer doesn't tip backwards when the weight of the tractor is on it. And then I also have the front one in place. I don't know if I need that one in place, but it's in place. Okay, nothing left to do but to get this thing off of here. And since this is my first time driving a tractor off of a trailer using ramps like that, I will be wearing my seatbelt just in case. Pulling me over. Is that pulling me over?
It might be. It looks like it. Should we detach that?
Come on, boys. Come on up. Let's go. Come on up. Oh, we did it. We did it. Jump, jump. Oh, good boy. Oh, we did it. Come on, Katie. Come on, Katie. Jump. We did it. So what we got was a John Deere 870 4-wheel drive with a 420 loader on it. Currently I have the forks attached to it, but it came with a bucket and tons of different attachments. We got a boom pole here, got a tiller, 5-foot bush hog brush cutter on it. We got a seeder, a sprayer here. Water tank doesn't attach to the tractor, but we got the water tank also. We got a landscape rake, a single plow, got a box blade, got a cuddle packer, I think it's called, cuddle packer, auger with 2 blades, and a disc. We got all of that for a very, very good price, and it was one of those opportunities where you just don't pass it up. So we are going to be using that tractor for a while and making a determination if we're going to be keeping both tractors, our Avant 755 that we bought just a few months ago, or if we're going to just keep the John Deere and sell the Avant. So, oh yeah, it also came with this little hand, or I don't even know what the thing is called, but apparently it cuts brush like crazy. So, good for fence lines. So anyway, it was a deal of a lifetime. Couldn't pass it up, so we didn't pass it up. And there we are. We added to our arsenal of abilities here on the homestead. I'm really excited about it. I figured you guys have watched enough time lapse, so I thought maybe I would explain what I'm doing and then continuing on. What I'm using is rock wool insulation. It is the R-30 16 on center stuff. I'm thinking I'm going to be able to put at least another layer of R-15 rock wool insulation. So I'll have an R-45 on the ceiling, which is quite amazing. And I can do that because if you guys remember, when we put the new roof rafters on, we dropped them down a little bit from the existing rafters that were in place. So that gave me more depth to be able to put more insulation into. But it also caused a lot more work for me because I have to make custom cuts in every section here. So let me show you what I'm doing exactly. You can see that I have the R-30 insulation bat going all the way to the deck of the roof. There's going to be no air gap between the insulation and the roof deck. And I know a lot of you are like, no, you need to have ventilation, you need to have airflow. Let me just tell you, at the end of this video, I'll explain it all. I'll explain why I'm doing it this way, but that allows me to do R-30 plus of insulation. just about half of the first layer of the insulation for the ceiling in place, and decided I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here. So I want to explain why I'm doing the ceiling insulation the way that I am, and then also do a follow-up on this mini split here by Turbo. So let's start with the mini split. Okay, so I have been using this mini split by Turbo for 2 weeks plus a few days. So I feel like I have a pretty good sense of how it's going to behave. I've used it both in heating mode and cooling mode. Now that we have those nice cool mornings that warm up to a nice warm afternoon, I have it in heating mode in the morning to keep me comfortable, and then switch over to that cooling mode in the afternoon to keep me comfortable. I will say that over those 2 weeks plus a few days, this thing has been working really, really well. I mentioned before that there was one afternoon for a couple hours where it made a weird screeching sound. That hasn't happened again, and the manufacturer said that if it does, they will certainly support in getting this thing fixed if it's necessary. So I like that. They also have all of the equipment that you need for install, like the mounting brackets and the line set cover for a nice finished look on the installation on the outside. So if you're in the market for a mini split and you are doing your research, make sure you add Turbo to your list of companies and products to look at when you're comparing the different products before you purchase one. It's been working great, fairly cost effective, pretty good SEER rating, nice and quiet, puts out good heat and good cool air. Let's talk about the method that I'm using to insulate the ceiling. So first of all, I want to mention that this is a non-conventional method, but that doesn't mean that it's not an approved method or a tested and proven method. The method that I'm using is by use of a vapor diffusion port. And before I even really get into it, I want to mention that there's going to be a couple links to articles and some videos for reference points that I'm going to put in the description of this video. If you're going to comment about me doing this incorrectly, please read and watch the reference videos first, and if I'm missing something, feel free to comment down below what I'm missing, but don't just simply say you're doing it wrong because it's not a conventional method. The conventional method is you would have vents at the soffits and a vent at the ridge, and then you would have your insulation with a gap between that and the bottom of the roof deck. And in that gap, air from the soffit can travel up and exit out the vent of the ridge, thus pulling any moisture that comes from the living space into that little pocket. This 1930s house here where the great room is, there are no soffit vents, and currently there's no ridge vent, but that will change. I'm able to use the entire depth of the floor joists, the ceiling joists, so therefore I can get a lot more insulation in place by putting it up against the bottom of the roof deck. So I'm going to be able to achieve the R-30 minimum, probably even an R-45, with the 2x8 roof rafters that I have in place. The original roof rafters are still there, as I mentioned, but because I've dropped the new roof rafters down a little bit, I actually have about 8 to 9 inches, so I'm able to get a full R-30 rock wool insulation bat in place by pushing it up against that deck. I have a couple notes that I want to mention here, and I have it on my phone, so let me get my glasses on here. I'm taking guidance from 2 main sources. The main source is from, I hope I say this right, Joe Steebrook from buildingscience.com. He actually guides a lot of the codes that happen nationally. And then I'm also taking some information from Matt Risinger of Build Show Network, and I learned about this method from Doug at Different. This space here will be living space and conditioned space, meaning the air will always be conditioned in some manner, either through air conditioning, through a dehumidifier, or via a fireplace. There's a thing called a vapor diffusion port, and that's what I'm going to be using. On the ridge, I will be making a ridge port. I'll be cutting some of the sheathing back to allow moisture to escape. I'll be covering that with basically house wrap. I don't know if it's exactly house wrap, but it allows moisture to go through, but it doesn't allow air to go through it. So allowing the moisture to exit, but no moisture to get in or air to get in. Any excess moisture that's in the living space that permeates through the tongue and groove finished ceiling, then the rock wool insulation, it'll hit the roof deck, the sheathing, it'll make its way up to the roof vent, and moisture will escape. So that's how this system works. It is approved, it is code approved here in the South, and I'll be able to get at least R-30, if not maybe even R-45, once I'm done with the installation here. This method works for any moisture or vapor permeable insulation. Fiberglass, rock wool, cellulose, open cell foam also. It's not necessary or needed for the closed cell foam insulation. The next question then is, why am I doing it this way? Since I don't have a vented roof system, why don't I just keep it all non-vented and used closed cell foam to insulate the roof, the ceiling? And while that probably would have given me better insulation value for the thickness that I have here, I didn't personally want to use closed cell foam insulation for a couple reasons. Number one, it was about 2 to 3 times more expensive than doing what I'm doing here, and that's because I wouldn't be able to personally do the spray foam myself. Number two, I don't like the permanency that spray foam is. It's really hard to remove spray foam once it's in place. I didn't like that. I didn't want that. And while the risk is probably fairly minimal, there can be some off-gassing if the spray foam insulation isn't mixed correctly at time of application, and that off-gassing can last for the rest of its life. And I didn't want to risk that. I hope that makes sense. I hope that explains why I'm doing it this way. And like I said, if you've read the articles and you watched the information provided in the description below, and I'm still missing something and I'm doing it wrong, please let me know. Put a comment down below. I'd really appreciate it. But other than that, I hope you guys have a great day. I appreciate you watching very much, and hopefully by the next video, all of this will be done because I'm really looking forward to moving on to the next project. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.